Learning target for this video is to analyze two-way tables using relative frequency. So what a relative frequency means is that instead of having numbers in our two-way table, we have percentages. So this isn't 0.24 of a person, that is 0.24, that 0.24 is 24%, okay? And the big part of this is generally the relative frequency two-way tables totals to 100% or 1. So that means that these total to 1 and that all of these also total to 1. There are relative frequency tables with columns and with rows, so we're going to talk about those today as well. But let's first talk about how we analyze one. A couple of things about two-way tables. They do measure probability, normally as percents. In order to get a percent, you can multiply the fraction or multiply the decimal by 100 to get the percentage. And you can multiply the decimal by the total amount to get the total number of something. So this is the one that we're really going to be using today. So please make sure you highlight that or put a big old star, whatever you need to do in order for your brain to think about that. So let's start with our first problem. It says Elijah asks a random sample of 175 students at a school their favorite subject. The results of a survey are in the relative frequency table. Okay, so the big key thing I see right away is that I have 175 students. So that's the number I'm going to multiply by my decimal to find out how much of each given thing is happening. So let's tackle this first problem. So first problem says, given that the student is a boy, how many like English? So first of all, I'm only looking at the boys. Okay, and it says, given that they're a boy, how many like English? So where are my boys who like English? They are right here. Okay, so that is 10%. Okay, and that's kind of big. So if you didn't see what I just did, I said I'm only looking at this orange highlighted part, and I'm only looking for the boys who like English there. So I know it's 10% of boys liking, or I'm sorry, it is 10% of the people that Elijah asked are boys who like English. Now, in order to get the total for that, I need to multiply it by the number of students. So that's 175. So when I multiply that, I get 17.5. Okay, I can't have 17.5 of a student. Okay, so I like to round this and I say about 17. Remember that tilde means about. Students are boys who like English. So students are boys who like English. Okay, that says English. Trust me on that. So the next problem says, how many are a girl or like science? So the big word here we have is or. So they could be either of these things. So they could be a girl. Here are all of our girls. And here are all the people that like science. So it doesn't have to be both a girl who likes science, but it could be or. So that means that we're going to have, let's see, we've got 0.16, we've got 0.12, we've got 0.20. Okay, so I just used this, this, this. And notice I'm not going to count that one again. I'm going to just jump over to the 0.22, the boys who like science. So I need to type all of that into my calculator. So if I pull up my Desmos, so I've got, let's see, 0.16 plus 0.12. Oh no. Plus 0.12 plus 0.20 plus 0.22. I get a total of 0.7, which is 70%. Okay, so I know that 70% of the people we ask are either a girl or they like science. Now the question doesn't ask what percent. The question asks how many. So that means I need to do what I did in the other problem, and I need to take the percent that I get and I need to multiply it by the total number to get my total for this one. So I got to do 0.70 and I got to multiply it by 175. So go ahead and pause the video and do this in your calculator. So I just typed this in Desmos, and as you see, I got 122.5. Again, we can't have half a person, so go ahead and round that. So I'm going to round to 122 students are girls or like science. Okay, so 122 students are girls or like science. Okay. So the next question we have is how many students are girls and like English? So this one is different because they have to do both of these things. So they have to be a girl and they have to like English. So my girls are right here and my English are right here, but only these people are girls who like English or girls and like English. So that means that I've got 0.12. And again, it wants to know how many. So I got to multiply my decimal by my total, which was 175, in order to get that number. So go ahead and type that in your calculators right now. I got 21. Did you guys get the same thing? Hopefully. Okay, so we could say 21 students are girls who like English. When I'm writing this answer, I could also say 21 students are girls and like English, but because this is a girl, boy, and subjects that they like, I can also use the word who. So the final question is, what percentage of boys like English or science? So this one is asking for a percent here. Okay, so we're going to do something slightly different. So the first thing I'm going to do is anytime it tells me of or given, I know that's going to be my denominator. So I need to find out all the percents of boys. And specifically, I would look for the boys who like English or science. So up here, we're looking for boys who like science or English. And it could be either of those things. So let's just start with the boys. So I know all of these people are boys. Okay, and if I add those all up, I got 0.52. Okay, now for the top of it, I'm specifically looking for science. Here are my science people. And I'm looking for English. So if I add those two up, and I know it's kind of hard to see on my picture, but if you look at your picture, I got 0.32. Now, in order to find the percentage, I just have to divide these two. So 0.32 divided by 0.52. So when I did this division in Desmos, I did 0.32 divided by 0.52. And here I got 0.61. And it wants to know what percentage. So I'm just going to multiply that by 100 to get the percentage. Okay, so for me, that's 61% of boys like science or English. Okay, and notice how I said of there. So that tells me I'm only talking about the boy population here. Okay, and those are all the questions we have for analyzing two-way tables. If you've got any questions, please go talk to your teacher right now on this.